Hey folks, my guest today is Scott Wingo. He's a four-time entrepreneur. Number three is Channel Advisor, which was a public SaaS company greater than 150 million bucks in ARR. He's now building GetSpiffy.com, which is on-demand car care with an interesting SaaS plus marketplace angle. Scott, you ready to take us to the top?
I am.
All right. So really enjoyed having you on last time. And you really are a sort of a blended model, I would say, between almost marketplace, fintech, and SaaS. Help people understand what you do.
Yeah, so I have an e-commerce background and had my first Uber experience around 2013. And the aha moment for me was, could we apply all those interesting things we learned in e-commerce SaaS to car care? And so the way it should work is you should have people come to you to take care of your car versus you going to them. So e-commerce and SaaS mindset applied to car care. And there's three dimensions we grow in Spiffy, which is kind of fun. Having done a large SaaS business, you get to the one dimension is just pulling the lever on QBSRs and marketing spend. I know you talk a lot about that. And so we have that as well, but we also have different geographies. So there's a geography component to this. And then different types of services we provide, and then different types of customers. So I'm sure we'll get into that, but that's what's fun. And if we can turn all three of those dials, we can grow, really, really quickly.
Yeah, let's start with the customer. So when you were on back in around August of 2020, you said you had about 900 customers. But for those that are just listening now, what is a customer for you? Can you name one or two of them?
Yeah, so we have a B2B component of our business and a consumer. We're 85% B2B, which is fleet in my world of car care, and then 15% consumer. Consumers would be like you in Austin. You need your car, your oil change or something like that. And then on the fleet, that's so the consumer part of our business is very e-commercey, not super recurring, etc. But then our fleet business is more SaaS. So these fleets have X number of vehicles. They need services at a certain pace. The vehicles are driven at a certain mileage. So like a SaaS business, it has a predictable, recurring, not committed. So there is some commitment there, but a very measurable, predictable kind of component to it. Within that bucket, our largest customers are rental car companies. So we have all the large rental car companies are our customers: Enterprise, Hertz, Avis Budget, Sixt, etc. Then we have a bunch of vehicle 2.0 companies. So these are next generation car sharing networks, autonomous networks, EV car sharing companies. And then the third bucket is logistics. So we work a lot with Amazon DSPs. So it's kind of fun to get back to my e-commerce roots on that. And then we have four other buckets of fleets, but those give you an idea of some of the customers that we have.
If I'm Hertz, right, in Raleigh at the airport, I've got 100 cars at that location and I need you to clean them or oil change or whatever, vacuum them once every week. What am I going to pay you?
Yeah, we'd like to bundle it. We call it, like this fleet management as a service. So FMAAS. So what we want to do is really enter into one of our, and again, this is kind of like taking our SaaS knowledge and applying it to this. So it's land and expand. So you know that really well. So we go in, usually our customer has an acute need like an oil change problem. And we go in with that. And then we want to take care of not only oil change, but wash, tires, windshields. We want to take over the whole vehicle. And then we typically start with preventive maintenance. And there's another wedge, which is in fleeting and then removing vehicles from the whole cycle. So what we try to do is get in there and do everything. But of that fleet business, about a third is oil change, a third is wash, and a third is other, which includes tires, brakes, light repair, windshield, odor elimination. We're doing a lot of that. Shout out to the cannabis industry. We're kind of freakonomics. That's hugely benefiting us because as people smoke cannabis in cars, it creates a lot of odors, which is good for me.
Oh, what's going on there, YouTube? Good to see you guys. Now imagine this. You love watching these interviews with SaaS founders, but imagine if we took all of the valuation data out from over 2,807 interviews I've done manually. Saves you a lot of time. Well, we've done this. We've built it into the beautiful interface inside of FounderPath. Check this out. I'll show you how you can access this in a second, but you log in, you connect your Stripe account, you see your valuation real time. You can see what it changed over the past 88 days and even set goals for valuation this year. Now, the secret to valuation is there's many different ways to value a SaaS business. So the reason you're going to see 3 or 4 different valuations inside of your Founder Path dashboard, this is all free by the way, is because depending on who's doing the buying of your SaaS company, you're going to get a different valuation. A VC is going to pay a different valuation. Private equity firm is different. If you're going to do a minority sale, that's different. And if you sell the whole business, that's a different valuation. You can see all those when I hover over here. Right, so the teal is what a VC would pay, yellow is what private equity, and red is if you sold the whole thing outright. Now, what's cool about this is not built off random data. Again, you guys hear these interviews on YouTube. All these data are built from real-time valuation data points founders share with us on the show. So traction, 1.2 million, seed round, 3.7 raise, they sold 22% of their business. Go in here and filter by the event. Maybe you only want to see companies that have sold the whole business. Well, here are a bunch that have been acquired, the valuation and the multiple. Maybe you're going out right now and you're raising your seed round. Well, go in here and look at all this recent seed deals that went down, what they raised, what valuation they raised at, and what percent that they sold. There's never been a larger data set of SaaS valuations than what you can get now inside of Founder Path, and we're thrilled to bring it to you. All right, we're going to go back to the YouTube video here in a second, but if you want to check this tool out, if you want to jump in and sign up, you can check it out for free to get your valuation at this link, founderpath.com/products/valuations. Or if you go to founderpath.com and hover over products, click on get your valuation here and go ahead and sign up to give it a whirl. Again, all that valuation data live right inside the platform. I hope to see you there. All right, let's jump back into the interview. And so what would that charge be? Like if I'm having you do oil changes on 100 cars per week?
Yeah, so it scales with volume. So a consumer oil change is about $100. And then with some of our fleet partners, just the oil change, we can get into the $40, $50 zone.
Per car.
And you'll like this, per vehicle. But there'll be a commitment of volume there. So,
yep.
Yeah.
And what is that commitment usually? I mean, we're talking 100 cars or 1,000 cars?
It's thousands. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I remember this correctly, you actually invented or you have your own sort of like mini little oil change trucks, which you bought. They sit on your balance sheet, right? And that's how you do these quickly and efficiently?
Yeah, we lease them, so they're not on our balance sheet technically. But yeah, so we want to be a premium offering. And because of that, we have our own technicians. They are W-2 and our own vans that we lease. And they have a lot of equipment to go out there and deliver this service. So there is a delivery component to this, which is really interesting. And kind of uniquely, there's pros and cons to it. We like it because we can control the customer experience. At the end of the day, what I learned from 20 years of e-commerce is the companies that do best control the customer experience from soup to nuts, like Tesla versus like a traditional auto manufacturer. If you can control that whole customer experience, that's the place to be. So we've built it that way.
So how many of those leased vehicles, right, that you use to service all your customer contracts do you have today?
Nathan, are you sitting down? I thought I would never say this, but we have about 280 vans zipping around the United States every day.
So how do you, from a resource allocation perspective, what do? You look at like headcount per capita and make sure you've got one car with an X amount of million, or how do you measure that?
That's an excellent question, because once you have these assets, it becomes a optimization problem. And the way we think about it is that the simplest metric is average daily revenue per truck. ADRT is a metric we've come up with, and we're constantly optimizing that. And so what you want to do is have the most number of. It's kind of like a Tetris game. It's kind of a fun simplification of it. So the board is the availability of the van with the technician, and then we're constantly trying to fill that board and put business in there. So some because we have multiple different types of customers, it makes it easier. So a technician in Austin may spend the morning at a fleet customer out at the airport and then go pick up 2 or 3 services nearby, and that juices that average daily revenue per truck by having the mix of the consumer and the fleet business. Or maybe they go to AutoZone and do a vehicle, they do a rental car company, and then they pick up there's a car sharing network in Austin called Free to Move. So we work with them. So we may do some services for them as well. So the more customers we have in a geo, and be they B2B or B2C, the more opportunity we have to optimize what that truck does every day. So we've been building a ton of software around this. Well, there's this kind of so there's 24 hours a day. So basically that's kind of it. Is how do we fill up every truck 24 hours a day?
Mm-hmm. What would that be if it was a perfectly efficient truck? How much could it make in a day?
It ends up being about $2,000.
2K a day. And how close are you to that? Are you like 50% capacity or 75 or?
Yeah, across our whole network, we're at 800. So we have cities that are getting there, but we're, you know, that is a theoretical. We've gotten there, and like every day we have 5 trucks that get there, but that's
Yeah.
like that's a stretch goal. Let's say.
Every day you have 5 trucks that hit 2K.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
But on
pretty rare.
average, it's 800.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, well, so 280 trucks times $800 a day. What is that? $230,000 a day in total revenue? Top line?
potential. Yeah,
Potential
yeah,
revenue. Interesting.
yeah,
The other,
yeah.
there's humans involved here too. These aren't robots yet. So,
Correct.
and these are the person in Austin, for example. You said these are full time folks, right? There's not a contractor network here.
That's correct. Now we do build a contractor network because when we do this fleet management as a service, frequently these fleets, like Free to Move in your city, they'll say we want you to take care of everything. Well, we don't do body work. We don't do other elements, heavy repair. So that's where we're building a marketplace of third parties that we could pull into the account and have them fix the windshields. Like SafeLight is a partner there, and then other services around the vehicle. But we'll do the kind of the core of those services and be
Mm-hmm.
the primary coordinator of those services.
I mean, this also must fuel your M&A strategy, right? If you want to vertically integrate, you just talked about Tesla versus the other manufacturers. You want to own that windshield repair company eventually, right? Have you made acquisitions to date?
We've done about 4 acquisitions, and
And am I bang on there, or am I?
You are.
What's
So
your
there's a
strategy?
geography component. So we acquired a company last year called Pit Crew that got us into Tennessee. So Nashville, as I'm sure you're aware, is like Austin is, and the Raleigh Durham I'm in. It's like one of these areas that has this huge net influx of people. So we wanted to be there. So that got us a geographic expansion. We have done acquisitions that have given us more vertical expansion as well into
Yeah.
other services.
Really interesting. Now you have decided to raise. I think last we spoke, you had gone through a 10 million Series C. Was that right?
Yeah, that was a tap up to a B. So we did a 20 million Series B, and we added a 10 million. We had kind of an inbound opportunity there, and added to that, and that was earlier this year we announced that.
So okay, sir, sorry, say that again. So back in 2019, you did a 20 million. You did a 10 million Series B or 20 million?
Okay, so we did a 30 million Series B that we had some chunks in it, but the last chunk was 10 million, and that was earlier this year.
I see. Got it. What can you? Was that just like a strategic partner?
It was a larger firm that wanted to do a large round, but we weren't quite ready for it, so we kind of split the baby, as it were, and we were able to get them to put a little bit into that, and then hopefully they'll lead our next round.
Are you able to convince them to allow you to create a bunch of secondary opportunity for your early employees since you didn't need the money?
Yeah, we'll see. Right, we're actually pretty young in our, because we've been growing so fast. Most of our employees are pretty young in their vesting cycle. And I'm in a position. This is my 4th company where I don't really want to do secondary. I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm investing into things.
Yep.
So secondary hasn't been a huge consideration for us.
Yeah, interesting. What is the team size today?
So we have about 60 people in headquarters. So in this model, we want to keep our headquarters as kind of light as possible, because it's really overhead for the operations that go on. And out in the field, we have over, hope you're sitting down. We have over 500 technicians that are, running around doing those services.
Yeah.
It seems scary, but Channel Advisor got to be 1,000 people at 100 million SaaS. So it's just a different model, and you build systems and processes, the same engines we would build for QBSRs, STRs, and all those BDRs and things that we talk about in SaaS. We've just built those for how do you recruit, retain this level of an employee and make them effective, but then use software to automate it all.
Yep. These technicians are full time, right?
They're W-2. So the W-2 worker is an hourly employee. They are an employee, but they don't all get 40 hours. So let's say it starts raining buckets in Austin. We basically send them home, and if they want to get their hours, they'll have to work, whatever
More
the state laws
on a
are,
sunny
more
day.
on the weekend or whatever like that. Yeah. And they're used
Yeah.
to that. The hourly worker is used to that model.
Yeah. Now, I believe last time we spoke, I asked you what the average revenue was for, the Hertz, right? The B2B part of your business. And I think you said something like $12,000 a year or $1,800 a month. Is that still about right?
Yeah. So those have grown. So just to give you an idea, we just crossed 50 million ARR. So that was
Congrats.
exciting. So
That's very exciting, Scott. Congrats.
The 4166 is a as people that have MRR, AR, these numbers stick in your head. So we crossed over that one. So 4.166 million, we crossed over that. So that's exciting to do that. So
That's just so you guys know, that's in monthly recurring revenue is what he's referring to.
Yeah. So your question was, so these fleets, if you kind of took the revenue for fleets and divided it in, I think it's gone up considerably because some of them have gotten really, really big. So I would say it's more like 120K. So
yeah, 120K. Yeah, interesting. So 120,000 divided by the 50 million. Yeah. So how many total fleets are you working with right now?
So you have to take the 15% is consumer, so you have to 85% the 50, and then divide by that to get to the number.
Yeah. My math tells me you're around 410 fleet customers, somewhere around there.
That's right. Yeah.
Really compelling. How much of the market do you already own in the US? Like, are there more than 410 you can go get?
There's a lot more. Yeah. So the rental car, we're the if you just think about the companies, we're fully penetrated, but there's a land and expand inside of there. So there's services and then different geographies. So just rental car could be 10x of what it is today. That being said, we want to diversify. So, as we look at corporate fleets, think about how many companies have their own fleets. We work with AutoZone, Verizon, and Wegmans there. The Amazon DSP opportunity alone is probably a $200 million opportunity for the last mile stuff. So it's a little, the TAM here is like so honking big. We don't really, it can be distracting to think about it. It's so big, it's kind of like overwhelming. So we just try to every day come into work and make customers happy and poke into other areas that we want to get into.
Hey, I can tell you're having fun doing this. When you're not building a Wingo or when you're not building Spiffy, what are you doing? Is this a Star Wars fan in the background? Is that what I'm seeing?
It is, yeah. So I have 3 kids, so that's primary where I spend my time. But then my hobbies, I collect Star Wars stuff, and then I'm a super geek. So then you're familiar with comic books. Well, there's original art behind comic books, so I collect original art of comic books. That's a fun hobby of mine.
Can you name one of the original art pieces you own?
Yeah, so my favorite artist is this guy, Todd McFarlane. He came in and revitalized Spider-Man, and then he left and started his own company. He was an entrepreneur, which is kind of interesting. So he started Image Comics and is the CEO of that. So I have a lot of the comic book art that he did for both on Spider-Man and this series called Spawn.
Huh. Very cool. Well, Scott, this is a heck of a story. It's fun. I mean, you also have so many, you didn't even talk about this, but I mean, you sit on so much like transaction data here too. I mean, you could eventually get into sort of that model as well. And it's a percent of GMV, right?
Yeah, where I think this goes, and I'm a big study of Amazon, is we're developing this software stack that's it's an ERP for running a mobile first. We think mobile first, meaning phone. I mean, like mobile, like stuff, services come to you, digital services. I think where we go next is we're starting to license out our software. So this stack we have built, we could not have built unless we had built the company. So that's where I get really excited. Is we're essentially a software company that looks like a service business and has SaaS attributes to it. I think we become a SaaS business.
Yeah.
So there's no reason your local plumber wouldn't use this software. We could be Shopify for digital services is where we're going.
Totally. You can help them with the whole, I mean, you're a franchise, right? So the question, like you're Wendy's, right? You're giving them the software to run their own Wendy's. The only question then is how do they get the traffic to it? Which maybe you're thinking about how to solve that as well. How do they get the customers in?
Yeah. The thing about this is, this will make my SaaS friends very jealous, is we actually hardly do any marketing or sales. We have like a 5-person sales team.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So there's a huge demand for what we're doing, and we spend more time matching our capabilities and capacity to that demand. So we would give them those tools, and we have those tools, but it's actually they're such, the convenience oriented customer, be they B2B or consumer, is so in demand for what we're doing that we don't spend a ton of time on that side of it.
Yeah, interesting. Last question is valuation related. So you just did this extra 10 million sort of top up. It sounds like you have a leverage here. I mean, you guys got to be flirting with a 4 or 5, 600 million valuation at this point, right?
Yeah. Again, this is my 4th company, and I try not to get too far ahead of my skis. So where we have argued is we're SaaS like, but we should. We don't earn SaaS multiples. So we've been getting, kind of like around half to 60% of SaaS multiples, which I'm okay with, because I've been in the other situation where, you have this valuation that's really hard to grow
too
into.
high. Yeah.
That's cataclysmic, and I try to avoid that.
Yeah. Well, 50% of a 40x multiple, which was common, 6 months ago, very different than a SaaS multiple, 50% of a SaaS multiple you're seeing today. So obviously valuations change, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Love what you're building. Let's wrap up here with the famous five. Number one, favorite book.
Hard thing about hard things. I said this last time though, so I'm gonna.
No, you did good to great last time.
Still, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you have variety here. This is good. Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Elon's the easy answer. I really like Balaji and his kind of head exploding thinking around like crypto nations and stuff like that. It's fun to think through the next 10 years and what that looks like.
Yeah, he's an interesting thinker there. I just think he just put out a new book, network something or other.
Network State, yeah.
Network State, yeah. Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building Wingo or Spiffy? Sorry.
I've been playing with Notion. I think that's kind of really exciting and kind of next generation way of doing things.
I keep mixing up your last name with the company name. That Wingo would be a great company name. I'm surprised you didn't just name it Get Wingo.
Yeah, there's an ego thing there. I'm not.
Fair. Yeah, you don't want to build your sell. You have to sell your last name. Number four. How many hours of sleep do you get every night?
About 6.
Okay, and situation you mentioned married. I think 3 kids.
Yep, married 3 kids.
Married 3 kids. Very cool. And let's see. I guess I'm going to guess you're 54 now, right? 2 birthdays.
53. Yep.
Oh, you have a birthday coming up then.
Yeah.
There we go. Very cool. 53. And last question. Something you wish you knew when you were 20.
Buy Bitcoin.
That's a good answer. Guys, SaaS executive, been there, done that, also loves collecting original comic book art, but now he's really helping and empowering and trying to build a software stack that will enable anyone that wants to deliver services to cars to start as the wedge anywhere in the world, really do that with their software stack. He's built a company to build out that stack, really understand it, doing $50 million in revenue across about 410 fleets. This is the Hertz of the world. He goes and, replaces the oil change and does oil changes at the Hertz fleets at the airport, or does the windshield repair or windshield wipers. He currently owns at the company about 280 leased vehicles that he does around the U.S. to do this servicing. 1/3 of his business is again through the fleet. You've got another part of the business which are the Amazon DSP space, but again, 85% of the total revenue B2B. If you want to be a consumer and use them, you're going to pay about $100 for an oil change. Scott, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thanks, Nathan. I need to bring you to all my pitches. You summarize faster than I do.
Thanks, man.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.